Okay, I'm about to add Miss Electric Lady, and we're gonna see what's going on. Don't get them leftists mad. Don't get mad at me, guys. I'm an innocent man, innocent person. Hello,
Hi there, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well, thanks for asking. So what's up? You asked me to join. What's up?
Yes. So I'm seeing that you're saying I'm reading your comments, but they kind of scattered out. I'm seeing that you said I lump people all the time, and I'm making generalized statements. So I just wanted to see what you were referring to.
Yeah, so there's been moments as I've been listening to you, and I appreciate your commentary and the perspective that you provide. So I wanted to lead with that. But I did notice that, sometimes when you are communicating your thoughts, I have felt like, I don't know, it's like you have a tendency to kind of make a generalist or generalizing statement that kind of lumps many people into a category in the same way that you suggest that other people do, but you do it for the purpose of benefiting your argument, which is
Like,
understandable. It's a thing that people do when they debate, so it is what it is.
I have an example.
Yeah. So I think you were talking to the young lady earlier, the person earlier, and there was something that you said, and forgive me because it escapes me at this moment, but there was something that you said where you did kind of either agree with something that someone else said in the comments. I don't know. I don't have a good example for that. I apologize. But even with someone who said something recently, I think it was about the 92% of people who, have poverty. Technically, that's a generalizing statement as well, too, because where did that data come from? How can you actually support that and make that valid, in essence, if you don't have the actual research? So I'd be curious to know where those numbers come from. So things like that are,
Comment where he said 92% of people and white people, and he said the population of West Virginia is 90% white.
yeah. And I wish I had the playback. You'll see it, when you save your
Yeah.
life or whatnot.
I mean, I could look into what percentage of white people, or what the racial population is for West Virginia, just so I can know if that's accurate. But I think he was just trying to point out the fact that other people, other races are in poverty too. So
Yeah.
poverty, that's a black people thing.
No, I got you. I understood the point, and I don't negate the validity of it too. Feel free to go ahead and check the, scorecard so we can kind of see. But I am interested in kind of talking about some of the things that you kind of have shared thus far. I know I made up some points as well, just about your concerns about like financial literacy and like confusion about, or I'm assuming confusion about like financial education as well in the Black community. And I guess I'm kind of wanting to understand like a little more about your thoughts on that. Um, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get that in 1 second. I just wanted to look. I did go ahead and Google what percent of West Virginia is white. So we have that figure there. So I believe that what he gave in the comments was accurate. He was
Okay.
saying West Virginia is 92% white. And then can you just restate what you were asking? I'm sorry, because I was kind of looking up the statistic.
Yeah, and I guess I'll put it this way. And I guess part of it is me trying to understand where you're coming from. So, in essence, help me understand. When we started to talk about, um, in essence, like financial literacy, financial affluence, um, financial education, and just being able to create wealth for yourself as a community, right? So, and I'm talking Black, Indigenous, persons of color in general. Um, and we can keep it specific to Black people for all purposes of this conversation as well. But I kind of was interested to know like what your thoughts were on that, because I got the vibe that it was kind of like from you, oh, you know, everybody deals with this particular thing, or I'm not, at a loss for finances, or I'm not at a loss for making money, or I'm not at a loss for these things. And it kind of gave me the impression that because you have not experienced this, and this is just me assuming because I don't know your life, but it gave me the impression that like because you have not either experienced this or you're not in a current situation where you don't experience financial issues and you have financial education, that you kind of were like, there's a no excuses type of thing. Like, oh, you know,
That's
you
pretty
don't.
much
Mhm. So if you could kind of expound upon that, because I wanted to understand that a little more.
I mean, it's really simple. I solely feel like you could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I believe that. So it's like, I'm not going to blame any downfalls I have in my life on anything, whether I'm broke. I mean, I live in poverty, so I'm not saying that I'm rich or anything. I live on the south side of Chicago, but I wake up every day in a nice warm house, so I'm happy. And when people sit online and complain about financial literacy and use it as an excuse for their issues, it's not productive. And that's all I'm saying. And I'm saying this with love. I want people to do better. I don't want people to sit back and feel like, oh, because I didn't receive financial literacy in third grade, I'm never going to be able to amount to anything. Or I'm never going to be able to make more money than somebody who received that education, because that's not optimistic, and that's not how you should carry on your life. I feel like that's why a lot of people are depressed, because they're thinking like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to think like that. And I decided that I'm not going to allow myself to be burdened by the what ifs and what could have happened if things are better in my childhood or this or that. It's not productive. And I truly believe that. So it's not just for Black people. I feel like that's for anybody. Anybody who feels like they are lacking in life because they didn't receive education on financial literacy. It's just like, what are you gonna do about that? If you have the knowledge to say, hey, I feel like I'm lacking in financial literacy, your next step should be looking up the things that you are lacking. And it's really that simple. Like, I just want people to free themselves from the burden of feeling like they're being held back by something, because I dealt with that for so long.
Okay. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you sharing that perspective. That helps me understand a lot more kind of where you're coming from. And I will also offer to you that sometimes even where you sit is still from a place of privilege. And what I would offer also is that it is not that simple for some people to be able to be self-aware in the way that you've just described. There are many factors that keep people from being that self-aware. And some of those come from places of trauma. Some of those come from places of toxicity in their environment that prevents their mind from being able to physically and actually mentally break the mental glass ceiling that exists. There are some people who genuinely do not have the capacity to be able to understand, I'm in this situation that I'm in because of my lack of literacy. Some people genuinely don't have the access to be able to equip themselves with the knowledge that they need to become more financially literate so that they can create generational wealth and financial stability or financial affluence for themselves. And that is why certain organizations do exist that are specific to BIPOC populations to support that process, to actually get boots on the ground and bring that sort of access into those communities so that those individuals can get the same privileges that people that you and I may have just in our self-awareness, because some people just don't even have that much. And so I wanted to kind of like offer that because I think,
and
go
I do
ahead.
want to say I'm absolutely aware of the fact that I am blessed, and that's why I can wake up every day and smile and move forward with my life. Because I wake up and realize, hey, there are people in worse situations than me. It's people who don't have heat and it's cold as hell outside. It's people who don't have a ring light, who don't have a phone, but I do, and I know that I'm blessed. So that's why I'm, like I said, that's why I'm able to wake up, be grateful for what I have, and move forward, and not sit back and think I need something else. I'm lacking this. I'm lacking that. I know some people don't, like you said, they aren't even aware of what they're lacking. And with due time, they're going to figure it out. Maybe they'll hear me talking and they'll decide to look within, but you never know. But that's why I'll never stop telling the truth. And I'm always going to speak the truth.
So I'm glad you again shared that, because for me, hearing you spell it out in this way helps me to understand the audience that you're targeting. Or I wouldn't say targeting, that's a harsh word. The audience that probably needs to hear you the most, which is the individuals that you just described, those who have the capacity to be able to like have something, have the knowledge that they need in order to actually point out a flaw within themselves, if that is even where it starts and how it can be fixed.
Yeah.
And again, I want to also acknowledge that, like, some people, this is not like a flaw that started within them. Like, again, systemic oppression happened, and it was not caused by, you know, Black people in some cases. So let's be clear, or indigenous or persons of color. That's not everybody's reality. And I know I've heard the argument before that, people get tired of Black people blaming slavery, if you will. I don't even want to use the word blame, because I think we have to also think about, what the reality of it is. Like, people was brought here and they weren't even trying to be here. And I'm saying brought, and
But
that's a
let me
really nice word.
tell you a quick kicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe once upon a time that we were kidnapped and stolen from Africa, but I actually was informed that we were sold by other Black people. And when that clicked in my head, I'm like, we didn't get kidnapped. We weren't stolen and forced over here. We got sold by our brethren.
I think that's a portion of history, absolutely, that does exist, and I'm not going to negate that. And I think in the same,
Sold. They did not come and just take us. We were sold.
I think that's a portion of history, and also I'll acknowledge that. And what I'll also offer to you is that the Tulsa massacre, which I said in the comments, did exist.
I'm
Black,
well aware. But I also, what else I learned with that? I learned that they rebuilt that. It got rebuilt. So it's like, yeah, it happened, but they persevered and they moved forward. They didn't lament on, damn, they burned our shit down. What are we gonna do? They hate us so much. I guess we shouldn't even bother building another one. They just went ahead and build it again, and did it better. Yeah, there are gonna be tribulations in your life. Life is not fair, but you choose how you deal with your circumstances. And
I'll close with this. Because I think I'm going to be done at this point.
okay.
The other reality is that, to your point, some people did have the capacity to be able to pick themselves up by the bootstraps
Mm-hmm.
and keep it pushing after that Tulsa massacre incident. And also, we are actively living in a reality where not everyone was able to do that because there was not access to resources, which is, again, why those organizations exist, to support those individuals who don't.
What
So,
what for example? What resources do they need?
education, for one,
Like, what do you mean?
money.
Education in regards to what? Like, they knew their stuff got burned down, so they all we needed to know was, we're either gonna push forward or we're gonna allow this to hinder us. That's all they needed to know. So it's like, what else did they need?
Well, you think about, people that were hurt, injured, and killed in that process who were,
And not referring to people who were killed per se. I mean,
well, I mean, I want to be able to finish the thought. But the thought is that, there were some individuals that were hurt, killed, injured in the process. And those individuals were breadwinners for their families. And so, unfortunately, in some cases, perhaps some of those people were the sole breadwinners in their families. And as Africans, African Americans, Black people, we're connected to them from an ancestral standpoint. And if those were the sole breadwinners in the family, and that was the family business, and that gets burned down because of racial hatred, then guess what? What's the rest of the family do if they weren't educated or privy to how that business got up off the ground in the first place? They're going to need education and literacy. So that's all I'm going to share with you. I appreciate your time. I'm going to go ahead and log off. I appreciate talking with you.
have a great night. Whoo, child. I knew Tulsa was gonna come up. But y'all, let's be real. They rebuilt their stuff. You have choices in life. You can sit back and be depressed. Y'all, my daddy died last year. I could have sat back and been depressed. I almost quit Instagram. I was like, you know what? I'm tired. I just don't want to do anything. I can lament over the fact that my dad died forever. But I decided, hey, why the hell would I do that? I'm active, I'm alive, and I'm healthy. And I have a voice. So why not use it for something positive? Trying to tell people not to let shit hinder them. Because life is gonna life. Shit's gonna happen to you. There's nothing you can really do about it. So are we gonna keep talking about shit that happened in the past, or are we gonna move forward? Move forward with our day-to-day lives. You have that option. But people are gonna continue to recite shit from the past they've been told. Not, they haven't even been told the full story. I bet people didn't even know that they rebuilt the damn Tulsa. The Black, what was that? Black Wall Street. Yeah, Black Wall Street.